Hi everyone, it's Caroline. Thank you for visiting today. I'm very glad you're here. I'm doing a flip through of my latest magazine spine journal. I just used an old, one of my very first snippet rolls from some altered clothes that I had, and I just thought I'd do a safety pin and do it around like a band. And I did a little bit of scrap fabric on the spine. I also used some tissue paper and then some dots. I do have a few of the process videos. I'll list the playlist. This was a painted little banner that I made with some bread tabs that are cardboard, and then I attached them to this. This is a pop top from a drink of some sort, and I had that, and I just sewed around it and hooked it on there. And that's the very first page. So all of this is scraps. That's how I decorate my leftover harvested magazines or catalogs. This one had a very sturdy cardstock base, and which lent to a very robust, thick pages, really great to harvest from. And here I just did doodling and a little bit of scraps, some stapling, stamping. This one is the same. I had a little scrap piece of fabric, another piece of scrap. I did some journaling in here too. I have a few little spots that I journaled right on the page, and then I have some hidden journaling in some tags and journal cards. I added a button on this one here. Some stamps, some of my graffiti paper, or graffiti receipt. I also did some stamping, lots of stamping, some digital leftovers that I was making other things with, and so they're all different kinds of digital. Some of them I've had for a while in my stash, and I don't remember who they were from. Some of my own stamps. Did some tabs. This is not a huge one, because these pages, I forget how many, but it wasn't a big, thick magazine. Just made a journaling card out of some scraps from a magazine, and it's in this little tuck spot that I made here. Scraps, did some stamping. This started out as a paper doll that I had been making, and I found it loose in my basket that's beside me on my desk. So I put this part of the body, so it's two different clothing items that I put together, and then I had this lady in another magazine, so I cut her head off and put her in that opening. And then this was a local map of a couple of different things here in our county. And I had made this, this was an add-on, and I used some washi tape, and I was practicing one day because I didn't know what to use the map for. I didn't need it. So I just made this interactive pocket, a cluster, and a little doodad that I had cut out. And it's a pocket here and a pocket here. So in this pocket I had made, well, this was a list that I had, so I just put it in here. Added a little scrap. These were embossed, that I was practicing my embossing, playing around with it. I added some tabs, and these were on some old business cards. And then here is some of my homemade paper, handmade paper, and I did some journaling on there. I thought I would use that in the pockets. And then she was also a digital that I had left over, a piece of digital, so I put her on here. And then I had, this was a side or a corner pocket. I made this faux envelope, and then I did some journaling here. Just added some scraps from my desk again. And then this was also the end of an envelope that I had used somewhere else, and I had some of these phrases. Did some stamping, did some journaling, and then I also put some journaling in that. Some more digitals that I had left over, did some stamping, had put on the paint before I had the digitals. This was all made way before I had these, and then I think there's a video when I just discovered that this was the perfect coloring for that. And then I had left, this was an interactive page that I had left in here, so I used it. I played in it. I had some painty paper, some hearts, and I did some sewing and made a flower. I had this, I used some hockey tape to hinge this. But here's a stamp. Here's an old photo that I cut out. I made some clusters. I used the heart, the negatives from this to put back down here. Did some random stamping. I used some coloring, watercolor pencils. I had a couple of stickers that I put there. I had this guy left over, some of my own stamp. It just came together, and it's like a little story of this house or this mansion. So I thought that was pretty cute, the way it came together. This was some of my doodles and random papers that just got glued down, and I worked on this back and forth before bed most of the time. Did some painting and mark making, and oh, it was fun. This is another little story that I made with this picture of this house, and I used some magazine cutouts to put on, and I had a sticker that I had made, some more little digitals, tiny little digitals incorporated, and I made this house. The door fit perfectly, and it says flower shop. This bird here again. There's an owl that I'd cut out from a part of a brochure. And then this part of the page, did some more doodling and harvested words from cat magazines. More clusters. I had started with this sticker that came in the mail, and I put it right there, no particular reason, and then went ahead and started collaging. So that was fun. My own stamp, some painted on paper towel, this bird again. So these birds here were from Art House Whimsy. I'm just trying to think now, and if I go back here, this clock and a couple of other images are from the Digital Collage Club. So I just remembered that. And this is a fun collage that came together with, again, with a cluster from an old photo, painted background, some fabric. All these things came together a little bit at a time. It wasn't all just made at once. Most of these pages were a little bit of a layering, and then something came on top. I rarely worked on one page till it was complete. It was coming in here, flipping the pages and adding. And I always took scraps from my desk from other things. So you might see repetitive papers, scrapbook papers, or digital papers, some of my own too. I also I had ordered a stamp, and then I used the packaging of the stamp, and I did some watercolor. I did my own. This was from a garden catalog, and I made a sticker, so I put that on. This was from a very vintage child's letter that I had used in other projects, and I used part of it up here. This is a beautiful silhouette of a woman that was in my 1972 Women's Day magazine, and I've been using that for different projects. Some more journaling and some scraps of gift wrap, my printed wax paper, a tag that I had made a long time ago. more scraps. I did some coloring, little cluster of thread, little bits and pieces, bits and bites. You glue it down. It's so fun to go through it. And then my little ruffles that I had made with some scraps of fabric. Here is a little, it says easy peasy lemon squeezy, and I backed it with a scrap of my handmade paper. This is a piece of plastic. It was a cover of something and I cut it, so I made a heart out of it and I put the word love. This is a random ribbon ruffle that I had made one night. I made a huge lot of it because I used up my scraps, and then I thought it was perfect right there. Some lace, my berry dyed paper. This is an old photo here. I'll bring it up closer so you can see it. It's a woman and a man, I'm thinking Mr. and Mrs., and they're working in their garden. And he's saying, "You're sweet." So I just put that random sticker there. More journaling, a little bit, another part of a label, some gifts that I cut out. And on this side, we have, this was a brick wall here, so I added the words all in all. It's just another brick in the wall. And random items in my basket, painty paper, stickers. We're on the last page, almost the last page. Some of my cookie paper that I had punched out, a photocopy of one of my books, and some scrapbook paper. I used, this was a piece, the tear off to get into a package that came to the door. I think it was Amazon. And I used that, I made a ruffle. I had a piece of, here's another bread tab that I put some ink on, and a butterfly that I had, I think I die cut that, I was practicing. And this is a flip up, and I have some journaling under here. I anchored that down with the bread tab. I added some ruffle, I made a ruffle with my paper towel, added some gardening magazine, this rabbit and this little thing, added the number 4 stencil. The very last page is a harvested gardening book, thrifted gardening book, or for free, I can't remember. Some of them were free, some of them were thrifted. And then I did some sewing, and I didn't do anything to this page. I added a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of glitter paint, and then it just shows this page here. And that is the very quick, fun to do. Oh, and I put my date. I started this in May of this year, and I finished in July. So I just finished it a couple of days ago. And maybe you'll get some inspiration. This may not be for everybody. This is aesthetic. It's, for me, it's somewhere to put my scraps and put some feelings down and just do some, for no reason, no purpose at all, art to get some thoughts down on a page, create some fun little things that maybe I wouldn't do it otherwise. And I can refer to this and use some of these ideas in other projects, which I love. And I know exactly what I was doing. I said this before in other flip throughs, and I know most people do. When you see your scraps from other projects, it just, I don't know, it brings me joy. This whole thing brings me joy. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Always stay adventurous and be fresh. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.